Everyone, welcome to the lecture on campus sustainability. This is also going to be a fairly short lecture, and then for your activity this week or your exercise this week, you're going to have to go out and take some pictures of sustainability. So you're going to want to make sure that you allow enough time to do that. In addition, while this lecture is about campus sustainability, ideally you guys are going to go to SDSU to do this exercise about campus sustainability, but I realize some of you might be in other places. It is an online class. You can do any college campus for this project. I'm fine with that. If you are not near any college campus, you need to email me to tell me where you're going to take your pictures. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a college campus, but that's a discussion that has to happen with me. And so I will send out an email about that as well. But to talk about campus sustainability, right, many campuses now have sustainability initiatives, including SDSU. Most of these are focused on environmental issues. I'm going to talk a little bit about environmental issues today, but I also want us to think about the social and economic sustainability of college campuses because, as we know, we're taking that three-prong approach, so we want to make sure that we highlight those as well. Places like Miramar College, where I taught, smaller community colleges have something called an Environmental Stewardship Committee. That's part of their sustainability initiative. San Diego State has the Center for Regional Sustainability that coordinates all kinds of sustainability projects on campus, and including, our sustainability major, which some of you may be sustainability majors. I want to talk a little bit about LEED certification. Which some of our new buildings on campus and our remodeled buildings are LEED certified. LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. It is an internationally recognized certification system that recognizes sustainable and green buildings. It can be applied to new buildings or existing structures. So I believe Storm Hall, the remodel of Storm Hall is LEED certified, and there are different levels of LEED certification that you can get, as well as our new student union that was built a few years ago. We have a little green roof atop of our student union that reduces heat and promotes natural habitat. But this certification program is for smart designs that use less energy and resources, produce less waste, lower operating costs, and increase the value of the building included. Having a LEED certified building is something that's very desirable these days. We also have an organization called the Association for the Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Education. You're going to watch a little video about them. And they have a program called STARS, which is a sustainability program where college campuses get ranked for sustainability. And college campuses kind of self-report and can participate, and so they can also have added value to their campus, saying we are a sustainable campus. These are the ways that we are becoming sustainable. But ideally, when we think about sustainability approach on campus, we want to have this kind of three areas, right? We want to have campus operations be sustainable. So things like on-campus composting, LEED certified buildings. We want to have curriculum like this class that you are taking that is focused on sustainability. And then we also want to have people, if you're at a research university such as SDSU, people on campus doing research on sustainability. So this is kind of the whole university approach to sustainability. We have all three of these on SDSU's campus, and ideally these three things are coordinating with each other and talking to each other so research can inform campus operations and curriculum. Curriculum can be used in order to facilitate campus operations. You think about if you have a class where you're talking about gardening on campus, sustainable gardening, and now you have food that is being produced for a campus. And also that research should inform our curriculum as well, and our curriculum can inform our research. Right, and we have a sustainability major, which some of you may be part of, which is an interdisciplinary major. That's relatively new on campus. I think it's been around for 6 years, maybe 7 years now, but it was only a couple years ago that they graduated their first majors. Right, and so we think about the ways in which SDSU's campus, you cannot use this as an example for your project because I already have it here, but we have bike lanes on campus now. they weren't always there when I first got to campus. We didn't have any bike lanes. They could be a little bit better, but we are at least trying to encourage some biking on campus. Right, and we are pursuing new areas of research on campus that promote sustainability. When we think about social sustainability of college campuses, that's a little bit more difficult, but most college campuses now have diversity initiatives trying to kind of make college campuses more inclusive for more people. Diversity on campus benefits all students. It benefits the students who are already on campus. It benefits the diverse students who are coming in because it's really a promoting of exchange of ideas from different backgrounds. And it can be really important in closing the education gap between people of lower and higher income or between people of color and white students. But what about sustainable social spaces? What can sustainable social spaces look like on college campuses? Ideally, on college campuses, we are going to have spaces where students can kind of, be together, talk together, share ideas together. That are these kind of sustainable social spaces. This is a picture from Miramar, which I really like. Miramar did their remodel. Miramar College is not that far from SDSU, but they did a remodel several years ago, and they built this kind of huge grassy area in the middle of campus, and nobody uses it. It's fully in the sun. You're using water to promote this grass, but there's like no shade. It's hard to hang out there as opposed to you. It's just now this big green thing that basically people walk around. And so you can think about places like that on SDSU's campus as well, as opposed to this is from the University of Washington, similar green space, but we have students all over it using this space. And if you go to Miramar on any given day, there's almost nobody on that grass. We think about economic sustainability of college campuses. College tuition is getting more expensive, while income is generally speaking not going up at the same time. It is more expensive these days to be a college student than it was before, and much of this is due to less state support for public universities, but this is not the whole story. So generally speaking, our state governments support um, the they support universities, but not at the same level that they used to. So if we look at U.S. inflation, so if you look at college tuition and fees from the 1970s all the way through the early 2010s, right, have gone up. Educational books and supplies, housing prices kind of peaked. This dropped from the economic crisis. Consumer prices, but then the average hourly wage has not risen nearly as fast as college tuition has gone up. And public universities' tuition has outgrown private universities, which is kind of crazy, right? It's supposed to be less expensive to go to a public university. And while it is technically less expensive to go to a public university, if you look from 2004 up to 2013, 2014, the average public four-year university has gone up 41% in tuition. That's an incredible rise in tuition. Two-year schools, 27%, as opposed to private schools, which is 22%. Um, and then there's also kind of problems with this kind of boom in administrators. The number of administrators, so people not teaching on a college campus, has more than doubled in the past 25 years. You have a lot more people who are on college campuses who are doing work that is not as faculty. And so those people have doubled in the past 20 years, which increase costs, right? And, generally speaking, lots of those people, college administrators, keep voting to increase their pay. And then, in addition, I am not a tenured track professor, which means that I am a part-time professor at multiple schools, including San Diego State. Most of my teaching is done at Cal State San Marcos, actually. But people like me who do not have a permanent job at a college campus, who are paid generally a lot less than tenure track employees, we now teach um, upwards of now, I would say 75%, this is from 2009, 75% of your classes are taught by non-permanent professors, as opposed to that was flopped in 1969. There were a lot more permanent professors and a lot less part-time professors. And one of the reasons why that matters is because if you have a professor, and this again, this class is online, so it's a little bit different, but if you have a professor that's racing around to 3 college campuses, as many of us are, who have to teach sometimes twice as many classes in order to make a living as tenured professors, you guys are generally not going to get as high of a quality of education overall because we don't have the time to devote to you on an individual level. Doesn't mean you're not going to get you're going to get a bad education, but I'm not on campus all the time to meet with my students and kind of spend that extra time with them. And again, that when we look at kind of compensation and tuition, um, even when we are talking about faculty, if you look at a public four-year university, tuition for you guys has gone up pretty dramatically, while the pay for faculty has gone up very little. And so when you think about kind of where that cost is going, it's really going to administrators and campus operations. It's not going to the people who are teaching you. Also, a lot of adjunct professors are on food assistance. We get paid very little per class, and I'm not giving you this argument in order to tell people to lobby to pay me more, but generally speaking, we have to work a lot. And so if we have children or just want to have a general life outside of work, it's hard to make ends meet as an adjunct professor. Right? Nearly 25% of adjunct professors are on some sort of public assistance. And then for you guys, student debt, right? Student debt has gone up and up and up. It surpasses mortgages and credit cards. Generally speaking, that's how students are dealing with this increase in costs that you are coming out of college with a very large debt, which is not very economically sustainable. And so you're going to watch a little video about if college was free, but there are a lot of people saying that, really the amount of money that the government spends on financial aid and administering that financial aid and loans, it is possible, like some countries do have free college for their citizens. And so some people argue that that would actually be quite feasible in the United States. But to get back to that whole campus university approach to sustainability, one of the reasons why college campuses are so important, and that I talk about it in this class, the sustainability of college campuses, is that a lot of what happens on a college campus eventually informs and benefits what happens at the larger community. So college campuses are kind of these great little test areas to kind of figure out what works sustainability wise and what doesn't work, and then bring that to the larger community. So making sure you kind of have that kind of three-field approach and then be able to transfer that to your larger community is so important. Right. And so things like the American College and University President's Climate Commitment, where all these colleges and universities got together and made a commitment for climate action, a lot of this has served as a model for climate plans in cities. So that is the end of our lecture on campus sustainability. You are now going to proceed on to your exercise.